What's up, everybody? Happy NFL Sunday. I'm Jessie Coffield. Welcome to The Sweat presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Network's 1 hour of DFS and sports betting advice coming your way, which also means you have 1 hour to get your Millie Maker lineups in. That's right, DraftKings is giving you another shot at becoming a millionaire. Just head on over to the DraftKings lobby and you can enter the DraftKings $3.5 million fantasy football millionaire contest. Just $20 entry fee. The winner walks away with a grand prize of $1 million. Plus, the winner also earns a seat to our DraftKings Tournament of Champions, the ultimate DFS contest for the best of the best in fantasy. It's going to take place in January, where the winner will walk away with another $1 million and that sweet ring. So we have just under an hour to lock, so go check out that contest right now. So we're gonna have plenty of DFS advice to help you fill out those lineups coming your way, but we like to start things on the sportsbook side. And for that, I'm gonna hand it over to my co-host, Emerson Lotzia.
All right, Jessie Coffield. That's the way to start a saucy Sunday. Hello, Governor. DraftKings contributors, Reed T. Fowler, Steve Buchanan, Chirag Hira in the house today. Gentlemen, it is early edge time, so hooking us up with your favorite bets of the day. Rough week for everybody.
Oh, it was a disaster last week.
Last week was an absolute hot mess.
Not
so
fair.
Jules takes the L. He'll join us from New Jersey in a second. Steve and Reed also in the red, which is not good. Chirag, in your only appearance this season back in week 7, your bet did not cash as well. This is great.
Thanks for reminding me.
Listen, man, you got to take the highs with the highs and the lows with the lows. Maybe your best bet today will cash. What is it?
Yes, I'm going with Cincinnati to cover as favorites at home. The Bengals are 4-0 against the spread after a straight-up loss. I believe that there's a situation that's been going on in Cleveland that could make this, Cincinnati bounce back in a better spot. You have to also keep in mind that the Bengals, while they have struggled a little bit against the Jets, they showed that they could struggle. They lost that game. I still believe that they have enough what it takes in this matchup against the Browns. We've seen the money come in on the Browns earlier in the week, but just now, just as we close tonight's slate, I'm seeing that the money and the percent bets now moving all the way to Cincinnati's side. This line has moved from opened at 2.5, went down to 1.5 earlier, and now is closing in at 2. So I like that number. You don't have to deal with the hook.
But Steven, just to play devil's advocate here, an encouraging trend for the Browns, 4-1 ATS in their last 5 road games.
Stats. Great.
Yeah.
Stats.
So are you siding on Cincinnati's side here? Could they be good value here?
I like Cincinnati in this matchup here. There's a lot to like about Cincinnati too, especially going up against a Browns team that is a very pass-heavy funnel team. They're not going to have success running against this team. They can find some success through the air with somebody like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. There's a lot of options that Joe Burrow can go to. Everybody was on the Bengals last week, myself included. Probably you guys after hearing how much we touted this team up, and it was an absolute disaster. But this is a good time to get back on them in this game against the Browns, who are having some, it seems like some internal issues, some injury issues, lots going on for the Browns, not in a good way. I like this as a bounce back spot for the Bengals to cover at home.
Yeah, you think the Bengals defense rebounds from that mess against the Jets and takes advantage of the sputtering Browns offense?
Well, yeah. I think that's where most of the public, like Chirag mentioned, a lot of the money, a lot of tickets, everything is on Cincinnati, right, to bounce back because of that. But how many times do we see, guys, that when something like this happens, right, the team rallies for whatever reason behind whatever the narrative is and comes out and just does higher than expectation. Browns, just for some trend purposes, 4-0 ATS, guys, in the last 4 road games against a team with a winning home record. Look, Cincinnati, 97 rushing yards they gave up last week to the Jets, but the Jets just threw the ball to their running backs. You got Nick Chubb there, who I think is going to be in for a huge game. What do you go back to, guys, when you get beat by someone like the Jets and your offensive line doesn't travel? What do you go back to? You run the ball. Jerome said it. You run the ball. And Nick Chubb is someone that I'm really high on in this game specifically. Maybe not DFS because he doesn't catch the ball, but this one's a little bit weird because what Cincinnati team are we going to get, right? And we don't know what Cleveland team we're going to get either.
They don't have to face Mike White this week. The legend of Mike White. Mike White's maybe a better quarterback right now than Baker Mayfield. I'm just going to say it.
Already in Canton. Jersey is already in Canton, Ohio, which is crazy.
Already being crowned the next Tom Brady. Will we be crowning Jacksonville an ATS winner today? Reed T. Fowler, your favorite bets?
You got to stop.
Come here close.
Oh,
Come here,
no.
let's get on my way.
Don't
Come
do
here
it.
close.
No!
Absolutely not. The Buffalo Bills, 14.5. It might as well be night now. 14.5 is where I'm going with Buffalo, guys. Margin of victory for Buffalo is 17.1. I was going to say dollars, but it's not. Points might as well be dollars. But when you take the Jags, coming off a bye, Emerson, not America's team,
Terrible.
they lost, 24 points to Geno Smith in Seattle. Geno Smith was setting consecutive completion records against the Jaguars. So when you take a look at that, the Buffalo Bills are number 1 in total defense, they're number 1 in pass defense, they're number 3 in rush defense. And the Jacksonville Jaguars do not have James Robinson. He is out as well.
Oh, Carlos Hyde time, everybody.
Carlos Hyde season.
You gotta stop.
I just don't think that. And look, they're beating better teams than Jacksonville right now, right? Jacksonville beat Miami in London. Miami lost, and they're
the Bills are without Mitch Trubisky, backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky.
Exactly. So maybe the backup cover is there. Who knows? But no, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills, 14.5. They can go up to 16 for all.
All right, Sherrod, give me a reason to lean towards the Jaguars here. 14.5.
I can't.
Okay.
Why should I?
No, you don't
Stephon
have to
Diggs
if you
is
can.
going to go off. Stephon Diggs has not had a game in this season where he's recorded over 100 yards and also caught a touchdown. He's going to get a touchdown and have over 100 yards, potentially in the first half. This game is going to be out of hand, and the Bills should be easily covering this spread.
Yeah, we saw with how the Jaguars struggled with some of those big wide receivers in against Seattle there. Steven, I mean, come on. The Bills have lapses in execution at times. Jacksonville maybe.
Look at your notes.
I literally was forcing myself to find positive notes here as a Jags guy. Come on. What do you think? Jacksonville can catch Buffalo snoozing.
Yeah. Right, yeah, definitely. And then they would lose by, maybe only 30 if that's the scenario here. I mean, look, when the Jacksonville Jaguars get annihilated by Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, what do you think is going to happen when they face a much more competent team in the Buffalo Bills? The Buffalo Bills are covering the spread by an average of 9.4 points. That is the highest average in the league. I mean, there's really no positive that you can put for the Jaguars. Like, even you, a diehard Jaguars fan who goes on national television to tell people that's who you are.
Yeah,
are putting
I'm not
in
telling them
doubts.
to back them. I'm not telling them to bet them. I'm just saying, gotta have faith here.
Here we go.
You got the number 1 draft pick, so I mean, at least you can have it.
We have the number 1 draft pick every year.
I will say this though. This is how confident we felt right with Cincinnati last week with the Jags.
No.
I know it's not the same, but when you get when you get a little bit too confident.
No. Don't even allude to
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Yep, don't stop.
I'm sorry. You're right.
You know what makes it worse? I'm married to a Bills fan, too. And she's already texting me. My wife has been texting me all morning long.
Well, at least you know how to pick winners. At least there's that.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Hey, there we go. Yeah, I covered the spread on that one.
Oh, wow.
Steve, your favorite bet. What do you got?
Oh, this show is awful. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Tennessee Titans tonight. I love the Rams at minus, it's 7.5 now. A little bit of movement there.
Yes.
They knew that this was coming. The sharp bettors got on that quickly to get that extra half point on there. The Rams are only 4-4 against the spread. The Tennessee Titans have actually been one of the better teams against the spread at 6-2. But obviously, the biggest news in this game is that Derrick Henry is out for multiple weeks. The Titans come into this game running the ball the 4th most of any team in the league. Now you pluck that piece out of that offense. What happens now? This Rams secondary is solid. Ryan Tannehill is going to be forced to throw the ball more to Julio Jones, who's really been invisible in this offense. A.J. Brown coming into this game banged up, and then the whole cast of characters that's going to have to come off the bench to try to help this Tennessee Titans stay in this game. Obviously, nothing can be said about how good Matt Stafford has been with this Rams offense. They're not going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp. He has one of the best matchups overall. If this was on the main slate, Cooper Kupp would be the most popular option by far today because of his matchup going in the slot. There's just so much to love about the Rams here. They cover this spread at 7.5.
You know, we talked about it all week here, too, on The Sweat, which airs 11 a.m. to noon Eastern time, Monday through Friday, about, like, how much they run the football. You just said 4th most out of all the teams. That helps them set up that play action that they're so successful with these stud wide receivers that they have. A lot to like, he says, about the Rams. Anything to like about Tennessee here?
Adrian Peterson's back?
Yes!
I think it's a good story.
It's an awesome story.
It's
He's
an amazing
52.
story. I think that's the only thing. That's the only really thing to like about this situation. This game was going to be amazing until the injury, but now a situation. That half point though kind of worries me because the Tennessee Titans did show that they can keep up. A.J. Brown was a monster last week. Bunch of targets, bunch of receptions. He can still continue to work it, but Jalen Ramsey might be able to shut him down. I just worry here that they can't set up their offense with Adrian Peterson gaining 2 yards a carry.
What I will say, too, is the Rams, what we've seen, too, 4-4 ATS, they let teams back in the fourth quarter. They don't care about our bets, which they should. They really should.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this earlier, Steve, that 7 number is big. I like that a lot more at 7. 7.5, I do lean towards Tennessee.
Yeah.
This is on PFF.com. 7% of NFL games with a similar spread end with the favorite winning by 7. So that hook, that extra half point, that leads me a little bit towards Tennessee. And look at Tennessee's last few games. They beat really good teams, granted, with Derrick Henry. That's a huge caveat. A.J. Brown a little bit banged up.
Jets beat the Titans this year.
I know. Don't get me started. Derrick Henry is going to be out. A.J. Brown banged up on Friday. He's going to play. But yeah, this is going to be an exciting one.
Yep.
I probably lean towards the Rams, but the numbers point towards the Tennessee Titans with that hook.
Because for whatever reason, the Rams seem to have their the pedal to the floor more on road games. So maybe this does set up as like a backdoor cover for Tennessee.
No.
Gentlemen, I know, because that would not agree with your best bet.
Right.
Stay right here, please, because I'm being told we have our first live shot of the season. So the DraftKings Sports Betting National Championship is taking place right now in New Jersey as we speak. And the event started earlier this weekend, runs through today with bettors competing for the biggest bankroll by placing bets on NFL, college football, and the NBA. Our crew was on hand to cover the event, including Steve Buchanan, who bravely returned home to join us in studio. Thank you for your sacrifice, Steve. But his good buddy Julian Edlow refused to leave because he can't stand his family back home. He joins us live now from the Sports Betting National Championship in New Jersey. Jules, what's on the line today, dude?
Actually stayed because Steve left. It just gave me a great excuse to stay here and be away from Steve Buchanan. But we got a lot on the line today, guys. We got $2 million+ bucks on the line today in this sports betting national championship. Obviously, first place is going to take home $1 million plus whatever they earn betting. So, like, for example, first place right now is over $65,000. You get your $1 million and you get your money that you won in your bankroll. So we are going to have a lot of money on the line, and the way that people are betting in this tournament, I'm expecting some big parlays in this tournament today, and we're excited to see how they play out.
So the guys just gave us their favorite bets for today's Sunday slate. Jules, what is yours?
My best bet, as usual, I wind up taking one of Steve's bets and putting it into a teaser. This has happened week after week. That leg on Sunday Night Football, I will be teasing the Rams down. We don't really have to go over the analysis, but Derrick Henry being out changes everything offensively for them. Tough spot on the road. We also have them coming off a high of, beating down Kansas City before the perception of Kansas City kind of lowered. And then you get that huge division road game in overtime. I think it could be a little bit of a flat spot on Sunday Night Football for Tennessee. I'm pairing them with the Baltimore Ravens, and the number is moving rapidly on the Baltimore Ravens. I got this in when it was 5.5, 6, I believe, in the Best Bets article on the DraftKings Playbook. But I don't mind it at 7 either. You still get it down to -1. The Ravens are in a great spot. They're coming off an embarrassing loss to Cincy 2 weeks ago. Then they've had the bye. Now they're at home against Minnesota. John Harbaugh's 9-4 against the spread out of the bye with Baltimore. We don't even need the number here. We pretty much just need him to win this one. So Baltimore and LA Rams teaser is going to be my best bet on this NFL Sunday.
Steven, you picking up what he's putting down there for his best bet?
Yeah, I actually hope he wins that bet. Maybe get himself a new coat. That would probably look good on him out there.
That's a nice little vest.
Yeah, a little vest.
This is lovely DraftKings gear that I've been provided.
Yeah, that doesn't look like DraftKings apparel, but sure, we can roll with that.
It is. Careful, Steven. It is.
It is? Okay, well, I'd like one. I don't know why.
Where's the swag closet?
Right, where's the swag
That's
closet?
why you got sent home early.
Yeah, it is why I got sent home early. I spent 5 hours at the airport. But with that being said, I mean, I like the Ravens in this spot too. Get them down to basically win the game. We love those teasers on the Unreasonable Odds podcast. One of our favorite things to do, and one of my favorite things to do is also to leave Julian Edlow in New York or New Jersey.
That That is an incredible looking live shot, by the way.
Great.
This is history for this show.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a green screen. It's beautiful. So, like, Billy, Samir,
Nice job.
the team behind the scenes
Looking
have
like
really
a
set
TV
that up.
show. All right.
Because it looks like he's in a movie. It looks like he's playing a fake reporter in a movie.
Billy, Samir, Slates, they did a great job setting this up.
Okay.
This is real.
All right, Jules, do not go far because we're bringing you back later in this show. Steve and Reed are
great.
also going to be unveiling their favorite underdog plays of the day. But first, here's friend of the show, Pat Mayo, giving out his favorite DFS stacks for the Week 9 slate.
I met him once.
I'm Pat Mayo with your Week 9 DraftKings picks, the best stacks and the best one-off plays that you can go to this week on the main slate for DraftKings. 11 games on the main slate in Week 9, and the most popular stack, at least initially, was going to be the Chiefs and Packers game, but obviously no Aaron Rodgers kind of throws a monkey wrench into that situation. However, if you can find the value on this slate, and there is some at the bottom, whether it's Big Albert O, playing him at tight end at $2,600, that saves a lot of money. You can play the Texans defense. That saves a lot of money. Hell, the Raiders defense is severely underpriced this week, below $3,000. Those are all ways that you can manufacture some easy savings in your lineup if you do want to do the pay up of the Chiefs triple stack with the bring back of Aaron Jones. That's probably the single best stack, probably the most expensive stack you can play, going Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, who is not going to be super highly owned, coming off a very visible bad game on Monday Night Football against the Giants. Bring it back with Aaron Jones the other way, even with Jordan Love playing quarterback, at least presumably playing quarterback at this point. We'll see if he continues to test negative for COVID. But either way, we're going under the assumption that Jordan Love is playing. It's just going to be like 25 handoffs to Aaron Jones or quick dump offs to him. It's not like the Chiefs defense is any good. So that is probably the 4 best players you can squeeze into a lineup. But the rest of your lineup, like I said, it gets a little bit dicey as we go down the list. If you want a game where there are popular pieces, but it's not a popular stack, I'd take a look at the Vikings and Ravens game. Lamar Jackson is projected to be the highest owned quarterback on this slate in the Millionaire Maker contest on DraftKings in Week 9. However, that game itself seems like it's going to be weirdly under-owned. Now, you can just go, there's many ways you can do the Lamar Jackson stack. You can always play Lamar by himself. That works because with his rushing upside, that actually does make a lot of sense. Or you can pair him up with Mark Andrews or Hollywood Brown, or take the savings and do it with Rashad Bateman, or just use 2 of those 3 with Lamar Jackson. The issue is on the other side of the ball, how do you bring it back with Minnesota? For whatever reason, people are avoiding Minnesota this week. And Minnesota's a team that plays to the level of their opponent. They do not want to dictate the pace of a game whatsoever. They will just go with whatever is going on. We saw this Sunday night against Dallas and Cooper Rush. So you have an offense that is somewhat limited without their starting quarterback. And what does the Vikings do? Well, Mike Zimmer says, we're just going to run, 2 yards in a cloud of dust into the line for first and second down and try to get lucky on third down. However, when they're a 6-point dog like they are in this game, they're just going to pass the entire time. It's weird to watch their pace in scenarios when they're playing more competitive teams. And Baltimore's defense is bad. Like, all they do is blitz. They sell out. They have no pass coverage at all, and their tackling has been really poor this year. So what you can do is use Lamar, or you could even say, you know what, I think that Hollywood Brown's going to have the big game here, or I think that Devonta Freeman. You probably don't want to go down that route. But let's say Mark Andrews. I want to take Mark Andrews, but I want to go to the other side of the ball and take it with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen. That's a very unique high upside stack that very few people are going to have. Or you can go Lamar, Bateman, and Mark Andrews, bring it back with Dalvin Cook. I do think that there's a lot of fantasy potential in that game as a stackable contest.
All right, good stuff, Pat. Time now for a Week 9 edition of the Dog Pound, where Steve Buchanan and Reed Fowler are going to give us their picks for an underdog that's going to come out on top in today's NFL action. So let's hear those picks. Reed, who you going with?
Yeah, Steve, this is going to be a fantastic segment because we're both going to be right here. Maybe more so me, because the Houston Texans, everybody, the Houston Texans,
Nice.
Getting back Tyrod Taylor. This was before even the news broke out that I like him. And when you take a look at these quarterbacks, and I was going to compare Tyrod to Tua, but we now know that Tua is out. You get Jacoby Brissett, who isn't bad. Look, and we'll talk about backups too in the NFL this year. They've done pretty well for themselves,
right?
Covering, winning straight up. But if you take a look at Tyrod, when he's his passer rating when it's a clean pocket is 122. His passer rating when it's a pocket with pressure, when he has a pressure applied to him, it's 123. Oh. I just think the better quarterback right now is getting points, right? We always talk about where's the value here. Plus 185, and it might have come down on the money line, plus 175 for Houston. I really, really like that. I know they're going on the road to Miami. That's a tough place to play, but this defense for Miami has not done anything like they were billed earlier this season or in the preseason, that they had a duo of really good cornerbacks. They just haven't done much. And so give me the Houston Texans right now to win outright. Not great.
Oh, we're talking about winning outright.
Outright, straight up, outright. You can take the points if you want to. That's fine. But the money line, I'm also confident in that money line at plus 175.
Yeah, plus 175 for the Texans to win outright by Mr. Reed T. Fowler. Not bad. Look at. Normally I'd be like, this guy's an idiot. Like, why would you listen to anything that this guy would say? I mean, look at his shirt. You're going to take this guy serious, but I actually kind of like what he's throwing down here. Now, I like the points actually with the Houston Texans. If I was going to take anything in this one, and believe me, nothing would make me sound, do something like bet the Texans. Like, that's exactly what I don't want to do on a Sunday. But if you take them now plus 4, Miami's actually been a really bad team against the spread. 2-5-1 against the spread. Quick math, that's really bad. And then they're also missing covering the spread by an average of over 7.5 points. That's a lot to be missing covering by. So plus 4 for the Texans going up against Jacoby Brissett, who I will say doesn't go downfield as much as someone like Tua. So that takes that away too. Obviously, the Houston Texans defense, not much to be crazy about there, but without going down the field as much as Tua does, I like the spot for Houston.
And DFS too, like I think both teams have viable DFS plays as well. Brandon Cooks is out there. I even look at the Miami backfield as well with Myles Gaskin as someone you can take a look at. But yeah, give me the Texans on that side. Who you got?
All right, so for my underdog here, this is the game that's had a ton of movement. Once upon a time, this game was to pick 'em on the spread. And then Aaron Rodgers was like, well, I'm not playing now. I've got COVID. So now it's going to be Jordan Love going under center. And now this line has moved to plus 7.5 in favor of the Packers. I will take the points with the Packers in this one. If there's one thing you need to know about the Chiefs, other than they can't cover anything, is that they cannot cover a spread at all. They are 20-7 straight up since 2020, 10-17 against the spread over that span, 2-6 so far this season, failing to cover the spread by an average of 7 points, just like Miami Dolphins, right? So you're telling me that the Packers, who have all of their weapons, by the way, Aaron Jones is active in this one, A.J. Dillon's active, Alan Lazard, Devante Adams, all active for this game against whatever you want to call this Kansas City defense. What is it? What is less than a defense? I don't even know. We need to come up with a word for it, because that's exactly how I would describe the Kansas City Chiefs. I will take the points plus 7.5 with the Packers. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win this game outright, but they ain't going to cover.
Yeah, so what I like about this one too, and I think it's a great play, is Kansas City 10th worst coverage unit by PFF.com standards. It's not great. Simple math, not great. When you take a look, I actually like the first half Packers as well. I think it's around 5.5 plus 5.5. A lot of scripted plays that Jordan Love's going to run. We know that he's been practicing that for how long this week, knowing that Aaron Rodgers is going to be out early in the week. So I really like that with the Green Bay Packers. And that running duo of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, I think, is going to work wonders for this team. Devontae Booker, last week or this past Monday, looked like a really efficient runner. A stud. So there you go.
Speaking of studs, we're going to get two of them in the next segment here. We're going to toss this.
In the next segment.
You're not in the next segment, but Emerson Lotzia talked to our guy, Ross Tucker, from the Ross Tucker Pod, and they're going to drop some knowledge for you. Take a listen.
Time to welcome back Ross Tucker for his weekly segment here on The Sweat. Backup quarterbacks and injuries ruling the Week 8 storylines here, dude. No team was impacted more than the Titans, who lost potential MVP candidate Derrick Henry. First game without him is on the road and facing the Rams here. How can the Titans overcome the loss of King Henry?
Well, long term, I think it's going to be pretty tough. I know they're bringing in Adrian Peterson and Deontay Foreman, and I'm curious to see how both those guys perform in that offense, especially Adrian Peterson. There are some similarities between his running style and Derrick Henry, but he's like 10 years older than Derrick Henry, which is just a little bit of a difference there. But I think for this game, I'm curious to see how they adjust things. I actually like the Titans getting the points in this game because there's really two reasons. Number one, I think the other players will rally around not having Derrick Henry, and you see that from time to time in the NFL. And then number two, the Rams don't really know what this Titans offense is going to look like. None of us do without Derrick Henry. I don't think the run game will be the focal point necessarily of the offense. So the unknown gives the Titans a little bit of an edge, at least for this game. I'll take the Titans and the points.
I was going to say they have the depth at wide receiver, if they want to just go super pass heavy moving forward here. We'll see what the Saints do. Maybe the Saints end up going pass heavy. They kind of feel the pain there of Tennessee because they lost Jameis Winston to an ACL injury. Trevor Siemian, he takes over in the second half, and he helps New Orleans beat Brady and the Bucs here, Russ. But Taysom Hill is nearing his return from concussion protocol. So, Mr. Ross Tucker, who's the better option here?
It's a great question. I think they're going to use both. And I do think Jameis Winston's a loss, but it's not like he was playing lights out. It's not like Jameis Winston is the equivalent of Derrick Henry at the quarterback position, who we were just talking about. I think whether it's Siemian, who I think is a solid pro, a very competent backup and fill-in starter, or Taysom Hill, or more likely a combination of those two. I don't know that the Saints offense will suffer all that much or that it'll be that much of a loss. They're really a defensive-based team these days anyway.
Atlanta 1-5 too, Ross. ATS in their last 6 games against NFC South opponents. So something about those division games really freaking them out, man. Despite some people, though, saying Philly would be the first team to fall to the Lions last week, including some people on this show. It's okay. It's all right. We're not going to mention names.
Was it you? Was it you, Emerson?
It was one of 2 people on the screen. The Eagles did destroy the lowly Detroit Lions, and now the Eagles will host the Chargers. It's a tight spread, Ross, on the DK Sportsbook. Can the Eagles make it 2 straight?
Yeah, by the way, that was a swing and a miss for me last week. I showed faith in my former teammate Dan Campbell against the team I do the preseason games for, and that is not what happened in the game at all. I kind of like the Chargers in this game. Number one, I just think that Justin Herbert and that team is too talented to lose 3 in a row. They lost the Ravens, had to bye, lose to the Patriots. I just don't see them losing 3 in a row and going into a tailspin. And it's hard to have faith that the Eagles can perform that well in back-to-back games. They just haven't shown any evidence of it this year.
Man, but they went so crazy on the ground, like 236 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you know this, like LA is one of the worst running defenses in the league.
That's what they got to do. Look, people will be up in arms if the Eagles don't try to run the ball down the Chargers' throat. So I think they will. And listen, if you want to go with the Eagles, that is a great reason to do it. I'm going with the Chargers.
Okay, cool. Hey, you may be on to something. They're 4-1 ATS in their last 5 road games. How about the Buffalo Bills? They're on the road. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. They cover against Miami, and the Florida flavor continues here. They're going to take a trip to Jacksonville, America's team. The Jags are 2-touchdown dogs, huge spread. How do you feel about Buffalo covering?
Well, America's team doesn't look like their coach really wants to be there.
No.
He's up there. He's in the running for worst body language of any NFL head coach ever, especially late in the game when they're losing by a lot. It's like he doesn't know what to do. It's like he's never been in that situation before. I got news for you, Urban Meyer. You're probably going to be in that situation again because the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC, and they are way, way better than you. I never like laying this many points, so I'm not going to do it. But if I had to take a side in this one, I would still lay it with the Bills.
Yeah, and we all saw the Jaguars' pass defense just getting roasted for big pass plays against top wide receivers in Seattle, and Buffalo can present the same problems with Josh Allen and that cannon of an arm for him. What's another game spread you have your eyes on?
I kind of like the Carolina Panthers against the Patriots. The Patriots are playing well. They've won a couple in a row, but the Panthers finally kind of got that monkey off their back of winning a game without Christian McCaffrey. We know that Darnold's been in the concussion protocol this week, but McCaffrey back at practice. I've got some faith in the Panthers. I'm going to take the Panthers and the points.
Yeah, Patriots are 1-4 ATS in their last 5 contests as a road favorite. How about, speaking of favorite, your favorite total of the week on the DK Sportsbook?
I'm going to go the under in the Raiders and the Giants. Both teams have had their issues. We don't need to go too far down that line, but not sure how the Raiders will respond or react after what happened with Henry Ruggs this week and him no longer being on the football team. Obviously, the Giants have their own health issues as well. I just don't see it getting the over. I'll take the under with the Raiders and the G-men.
How about on the fantasy side of things here, Ross? Who's going off on today's main slate and just going to be producing points left and right?
You know, one thing I've noticed recently, these Penn State tight ends have been playing really, really well. Now, Freiermuth plays for the Steelers Monday night, so I'm going to go with Gesicki for the Dolphins against the Houston Texans. Texans are not good. The Dolphins are going to take out a whole lot of frustration on the Texans, I believe, and I think Gesicki's a big part of it. Feels like he's almost Tua's favorite guy to throw to.
Yeah, and let's wrap things up here before you take off. Look at Monday Night Football tomorrow night. The Bears and the Steelers. We got two teams in what feels like moving in opposite directions. Pittsburgh should handle business here, right?
I think so. I would lay the points with the Steelers. I just don't envision in that environment Monday Night Football against that defense. I don't envision Justin Fields putting very many points up. I mean, the Cleveland Browns just put up 10 points against this defense at home. I don't see Fields putting up very many. I think the Steelers get another win. It might not be pretty. It might be like 17-10 or 20-12. 12 is pretty rare, but maybe 20-12. Who knows? My point is I think the Steelers cover.
I mean, that was a dangerous start for them, too. 1-3, but Tomlin's got them back on track with defense and that combination with a strong running game. And not to mention, the schedule can keep them hot until a critical Week 12 rematch with the Bengals, dude. Ross Tucker, man, we love you. We appreciate you. Coming up, everybody, who's eating the chalk today? Plus, our analysts give you their best plays when the Sweat presented by Bally Sports Network returns.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $5 on their team to win, and if they do, you walk away with $200. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for your share of millions this season when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code SWEAT.
Welcome back to the Sweat presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Network. You are looking at the lineup that took down last week's Millionaire Contest. DraftKings user Perez took home the fat bag of cash, winning the contest by less than 3 points. The key to this one, you could probably tell, hitting on every single one of the wide receivers, 4 total. Chris Godwin, the flex, all of them delivering at least 27.5 fantasy points. Get more than 32 from Jets running back Michael Carter at 6% ownership. That doesn't hurt. So congrats to our latest millionaire. Now let's help you become the next member of the DraftKings Millionaire Club. This segment is called Pivotal Roles. We'll give our analysts a player who is expected to be very popular and have high ownership, and then they're going to give us their best pivot play off that chalky player, or maybe they'll just eat that chalk. Like at quarterback here. By the way, we have Pierce Dietrich, Jeff Ulrichs here, Chirag here in studio. Buffalo's Josh Allen at Jacksonville, expected to absolutely feast. Who wants him? Chirag, you want him?
No, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. He's about $1,000 cheaper than Josh Allen in this matchup, has unparalleled rushing upside, leading the slate in 10.9 rushing attempts, more than Josh Allen. Also, the pass catchers should be stepping up for today's slate. But the reason why I like Lamar Jackson is that this total, highest on the slate, you need to have a piece of Jackson and potentially his pass catchers, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit later.
All right, Jeffrey, what about you, dude? You want to eat the chalk?
Not really. Not a quarterback. I mean, look, I think Josh Allen has extremely safe floor, maybe the safest on this slate. But, there's some I got to go shopping for cheapness at quarterbacks here. We got Tyrod Taylor back for the Houston Texans. He's only $5K. You look what Taylor did in his first couple starts, and I know it's a small sample, but he was averaging over 9 point yards per pass attempt. Him and Brandon Cooks went for 134 yards week 1. And really, it's the matchup here. I mean, the Miami Dolphins, people, I don't know if people have come to the realization, but this is not a good defense. I mean, they are bottom 10 in pretty much every passing metric, second most pass yards allowed per game. It's a big spot for Taylor. I mean, he's only $5K. The Dolphins maybe even letting a few more red zone opportunities now that Tua is not there. The ball control might be less on offense. So all things considered, you've got two bad passing defenses. I expect points in this game, and I love Tyrod Taylor there at only $5K.
Yeah, his versatility as a rusher certainly won't hurt either. Pierce, what about you, dude? Chalk, you gobbling it down?
No, I'm going to go even cheaper with Jordan Love.
Ooh.
I can't believe the owners. No one's going to own this guy. It doesn't take much for him to hit 3X. He's in a great matchup. There's upside here as well against Kansas City. I just don't see why not. We've played worse quarterbacks on worse teams in worse matchups. We've played Heineke. We've played, you name it. You go through the guys. I cannot believe that all of a sudden people have forgotten that Kansas City is a bad defense and Green Bay has plenty of weapons around him. He's 4,400. What are we doing? Just plug him in.
Yeah, dude. There's like 25 quarterbacks who are more expensive than him on this slate. Let's go to running back. The chalk expected to be Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas, taking on Denver here. He's $7,000. Jeff, what do you want to do here at running back?
So I'm going to pivot again. I mean, I really do like Zeke, and I really consider just eating the chalk here because I don't think he's going to be super popular. This Denver defense is eroding, but there's a guy at 5,800 I just like too much, and it's Elijah Mitchell, the San Francisco 49ers. I've talked about this spot all week. The Arizona Cardinals, I mean, this is a team that's really dealing with some tough injury issues right now. I don't think they're going to be controlling the ball much on offense. And when you get a team like San Francisco, who's such a good at rushing the ball, they're 10th most in rushing attempts per game, the volume's going to be there. I mean, this is the Cardinals' Achilles heel. It was exposed last week. They allowed 137 yards on the ground. Elijah Mitchell's averaged 6.62 yards per carry over his last two starts. He's gotten over 18 carries in his last two starts. He's questionable, but it's just a rib injury. He was back at practice. He's most likely going to play here. And at under 6K, that Q tag is also probably going to keep ownership down. So all things considered, I'm all for jumping on here. You might want to put him in the flex just to keep that option open in case he gets a late ruled out or something. But I think he's going to play, and I think he's a great value at under 6K.
Yeah, I believe he is active for Week 9 over the last 2 weeks. He's rushed for 244 yards and a pair of scores. Not a bad pivot play there. Chirag, you going to pivot off Zeke as well? Or you want to eat the chalk?
I'm going to pivot off of Zeke, and I'm going to spend up a little bit. I believe Alvin Kamara, 8,200, is going to be slightly less owned than Zeke due to that salary difference. Trevor Siemian starting at quarterback. I believe that there's going to be a bunch of dump-offs and a bunch of rushes that Alvin Kamara is going to be feeding on. Yes, Mark Ingram is back in the mix, but I believe that's another reason why there could be a little bit less ownership here on Kamara. But keep in mind, the Falcons, 25th in rush DVOA, have given up the 6th most fantasy points to running backs this season. Kamara, 8,200, makes a lot of sense, especially if you use Jordan Love. You get that salary savings, giving you the option to spend up.
Yeah, highest price running back on the main slates. And Pierce, you're going with another expensive dude, not Zeke.
Yeah, I'm going to spend up for Eckler in this spot. It might be more chalky. I mean, everything is lining up for Austin Eckler. He's been as good as advertised this season. He's getting 60 to 100 yards on the ground every game. He gives you a 5-reception, 50-yard floor, and he's in a great matchup facing a team that's allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs, 5th most points to receiving running backs. It's pretty chalky, but as Schrock mentioned, if you're going to go down with Love, you can definitely afford these expensive players.
All right, well, Pierce, wide receiver chalk, expected to be Houston's Brandon Cooks, $6,100 at Miami. Jeff mentioned earlier just how bad this Miami defense is. You want to eat the chalk here, or are you going to pivot to somebody else?
There is no, I mean, I like Brandon Cooks, but under no circumstance should a Houston player with a quarterback coming back from injury be chalk. That's way too risky. I know he's been great. I know it's a good spot, but what are we doing? How about we go even riskier with Devante Adams? Ooh. He is a stud. He is elite. And what do we know about rookie quarterbacks? They tend to lean on their main receiver and force the ball. So you're going to get Adams low-owned, getting force-fed the ball. And, oh, by the way, Kansas City's allowed the 5th most points to wide receiver number ones. I just can't stay away from this spot. I know it's risky, but there's tons of upside on Green Bay offense.
Yeah, man, look at you with the Jordan Love, Devante Adams stack. I like it. Let's get weird. Chirag, what are you doing?
Jamar Chase. I mentioned the Cincinnati Bengals earlier as my favorite against the spread, and this is part of the reason why. Jamar Chase is going to torch this Cleveland secondary. They are ranked 25th in pass DVOA, and they have given up the 4th most fantasy points to wide receivers over the last 4 weeks. I really like this spot for Chase. He's proven that he has that chemistry with Joe Burrow. They were together in college, and this really sets up here where we can have an option where a lot of fantasy points will be scored, and I just think that Jamar Chase, having the best rookie season we've seen in a long time, 3rd most fantasy points after Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill in the NFL. Like this guy, Jamar Chase, even though his salary is up now.
All right, and I'm being told here we finally have someone who's eating the chalk at wide receiver, Jeffrey.
Yeah, we are. Brandon Cooks is 6,100. He's not even in the top 10 in terms of highest salaries at his position. It's a player with a 27% target share on his team. That's 4th best in the league. Pierce wants to fade him because he's worried about Tyrod Taylor, and then he wants to pay all the way up $2,000 more for Devante Adams with Jordan Love. Jordan Love, who the Packers won't even let us watch him practice because that's how bad he's been at times. No, Brandon Cooks is fine chalk to eat, in my opinion. You pair him with Taylor, you got an $11,000 stack. Look, these guys went for 134 yards in week 1. They've got the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that has just been eroding. They have no pass rush. They're not good in the secondary. This is a really good spot for Cooks. Why would you want to avoid it? He's so cheap this week. I don't even think he's going to be that heavily owned because there's guys out here like Pierce who think, oh, it's the Texans. I can't play them. Just play the bad teams. There's 2 bad teams going up against each other. Plenty of offense in that Miami game today.
He's got 51 receptions. That ranks 4th in the NFL. None of his Houston teammates have more than 19. Also, Pierce, just keep this in mind with Jordan Love. He's got Blake Bortles breathing out his neck now in Green Bay, at least for today until Blake returns to the golf course. I'm really proud of you guys. Sorry we ran out of time, so apologies to all the tight ends. But thank you, Jeff, for being brave and eating the chalk at least one position.
You're welcome.
Coming up next, we get some primetime plays as we look at Sunday night, Monday Night Football. But first, check out Gary Vee with some information here on one of his latest podcasts for DraftKings.
Hey guys, it's Gary Vee. Make sure you tune in to DraftKings YouTube channel for Die Hard Dialogue, where each week we do a listener league, DFS, and give away some of my highly valuable football cards, and we boost one prop bet. Die Hard Dialogue, DraftKings YouTube channel.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $5 on their team to win, and if they do, you walk away with $200. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for your share of millions this season when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code What's up, everybody? We are back here to get some primetime picks underway. Here to help DraftKings contributors Pierce Dietrich and Jeff Ulrich. All right, fellas, need your favorite DFS and sportsbook plays for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. We're going to start with your favorite DFS play for Titans at Rams tonight. Pierce, you're going with a guy who turned down a chance at Dancing with the Stars for another chance at football.
Yeah, I know, but I think he made the right choice here. Adrian Peterson, 3.9 yards per carry. The last time we got to see him last year, he really didn't get that much action. And plus, he was playing for a pretty bad team in Detroit. He's got a better offensive line, a better offense around him. We don't know how much action he's going to get. The coaching staff, though, said he looked good in practice. He could be anywhere from 1 carry to 15 carries. But he is facing a Rams defense that ranks towards the bottom third in rush defense. If he gets 10 carries, we're fine, regardless of whether he gets into the end zone or not. But I think he will get some goal line carries as well.
Jeff, you like a guy who could be in a good spot with Derrick Henry out.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you tuned in, I mean, you're tuning in right now. You heard Pierce and I talk, and we can't figure this running back situation. I personally like Jeremy McNichols. I mean, I do think that both these players are going to get work. I mean, look, we're in a heavy pass rush offense, and I don't think the Titans are going to activate Peterson and not give him work, but they've held on to Jeremy McNichols for a couple of years now. This is a very good receiving back, too. He's averaging almost 10 yards per catch. I think at the very least, you're going to see him play on like 50% of the snaps. And let's not remember, like Derrick Henry was setting career highs in targets and catches this year. That work is going to go to McNichols. Like, I feel very comfortable saying that. It's a good pass catching back. If you've watched preseason NFL over the last few years, you know Jeremy McNichols has a little bit of spark in him. And you know, again, Pierce and I were talking, we don't want to translate all the preseason to regular season, but I really think he's going to get first dibs here. And I like him as a play because if he's getting first dibs in the Titans offense, that's going to translate to 12, 15 carries and probably 4 targets here. The way you attack the Rams on the ground, I think McNichols could be a really shock play here. I think he's got better ceiling than Peterson.
All right, Jeff, move on over to the sportsbook side. What is your favorite bet in this one?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it really simple for this one. It's Titans +7. Again, I get it. Like, Derrick Henry is out, but we've seen this Titans team just continually be underrated. Their defense is too bad to beat the Bills. They beat the Bills. They can't. They're double-digit underdogs a couple years ago against the Ravens in the playoffs. No chance. They've smashed the Ravens. This is a team that always outperforms expectations here. They're very good against the spread, and it's happening again. A touchdown. This is a team that's leading their division. They've beaten the best team in the AFC. I'm not sure why it's +7 here. I get it. The Rams probably going to throw it all over the yard, but I think at the very least, the Titans, they brought in Adrian Peterson. They're still going to be able to run play action. They're going to keep this close. I'm expecting a high-scoring game, but I'm definitely expecting it to stay within a touchdown. Titans are a good cover team, too, so give me them at +7.
All right, Pierce, your favorite bet.
Adrian Peterson over 34.5 rushing yards. This was at 32.5, and it was taken off the book completely. It just bounced back at 34.5. I don't think the sportsbook knows what they're doing. No one knows what to expect. But as I mentioned before, Rams rush defense not very good. 8 times they've allowed teams to go over this number. Rams have a good pass defense. They have a good pass rush. If Tennessee's going to stay in this game, they've got to run the ball. So I expect them to give it the ball to Adrian Peterson a lot in this. So 34.5, really nothing compared to what we've seen him do in previous seasons.
Pierce loving himself some Adrian Peterson. Okay. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. Who's your favorite DFS play for Bears at Steelers, Pierce?
Chase Claypool is who I'm going to roll with. We've seen him step up his role from 63% of the snaps, then it moved up to 84% when Juju went out, and he went up to 97% in the last game. We're starting to see him run a lot of those lower A-dot routes, which Ben Roethlisberger likes. And he's in a good matchup. The last 2 weeks he didn't, show up very well, but he was in tough cornerback matchups. This week he's facing one of the worst cornerbacks in football, a rookie out of Chicago. So I expect a big game from Chase Claypool.
Jeff, ignore the alarm going off behind me. Go ahead.
Alarms for Justin Fields this week because I like the Steelers DST. You can captain them at 7,500, and I think they're a very viable play here. This quarterback is just taking numerous sacks. 4 sacks last week against San Francisco. He took 9 sacks early in the season against the Cleveland Browns. Got another AFC North team here who's got a good sack rate. Pittsburgh's defense maybe hasn't been as elite as it has been in years past. He's still got a very good defensive front, very good at getting pressure to the quarterback. I think the Steelers defense, it's going to be a popular play, but if you put them in the captain spot, I really do think there's a chance here we see like a 20-plus point night. So I definitely like them as a play for DFS.
All right, guys, thanks for the help with the primetime picks. I'm going to toss it over to Emerson Lotzia now.
Yeah, we've got a little update here from the Sports Betting National Championship. Julian Edlow is there. Jules, it's good to have you back. Which games on the NFL schedule today do you think could shake things up on the leaderboard? So, like, for example, an underdog that could pull off an outright win like we saw last week with the Jets in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, that Jets win, that was the first upset of an underdog that was a dog of a touchdown or more this season. So, honestly, I don't think going after one dog is the way that somebody's going to try and win this tournament. I think it's that the people that are at the bottom or even in the middle, you want to get up to a big number in your bankroll to win this tournament. I think it's just going to be about finding the right parlay, and that's going to be a big plus money parlay of something. It's going to be a mix of some dogs, like we talked about at the top of the show. Shrug's best bet, Cincy. The Browns are shaping up to be a sharp dog in this tournament. Like, piecing together some small underdogs with some bigger favorites to get like a really high plus money parlay. I think that's what's going to make the difference in this tournament.
All right, dude, we usually end the show with everyone's Make It Rain DFS plays, but since you are live at the Sports Betting National Championship, let's switch it up. Which player prop could make it rain today?
A player prop to make it rain today, I'm going to go to the Saints and Mark Ingram. We're going to go over 7.5 rushing attempts here. He got back in the mix in New Orleans. The reason they brought him in is because Alvin Kamara has to do too much right now. They got to take some of that workload away from him, and that means Ingram. So now you're a home favorite of roughly a touchdown against this Atlanta defense. I think that we're going to see Ingram get some work here in the backfield and get 8 or more carries.
Jules, be safe. Enjoy your time there. Everyone is back here on the desk. We miss you and can't wait to have you back in studio with us next Sunday. Farewell.
I'm going to go enjoy the mariachi band that is playing right next to us. It's going to be great.
Okay, awesome, dude. Sounds good, man.
They're right there.
Gentlemen, let's work up a sweat together here. Last-minute DFS takes for this Sunday slate. Maybe what are some things you could be rethinking right before lineups lock? Reed, you look like you're thinking about something.
What are you debating over there?
So much here. The Green Bay Packers, don't know, but I don't care. I think Jordan Love's going to do well against. We talked about it in the underdog
so you're
segment.
with Pierce.
Because like the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Like their defense is so bad. But the thing that I'm worried about a little bit right now is the Miami Dolphins side, right? The Jalen Waddle. Mike Gesicki, I think, was in a great spot. We saw what he did with Tua Tagovailoa. So I fear a little bit because that's a good spot against Houston's defense. I think it is going to be I had an anticipation it'd be high scoring. So that's what I'm a little bit worried about right now.
Steve, what about you, dude?
Yeah, I have to say, after our segment, starting to kind of come around on the Texans a little bit more. I really think that.
Excellent.
You know, Julian was just talking about it too. Like some of these guys that are in the Sports Betting National Championship, finding like maybe that underdog that can win outright or against the spread. Maybe the Texans is that team now. And you know, again, I'm not excited to bet this. I don't want to do this. But like, if there's an underdog that legitimately could be that team this week, I think it actually might be the Texans with the news that Tua is out. Taylor going for the Houston Texans is an upgrade over Mills. So I think that the Texans could be that team. It's gross, but I think it could be the
And
team.
you parlay that with the Green Bay Packers winning money line?
Bro, I don't hate the Jordan Love pick. I mean, he's got the wide receivers. He's got the running back for him. Like, you're stepping into a hell of a good situation.
Exactly what I'm debating with right now.
Okay, so what do you
Pay
doing?
up, pay down, pay up, pay down, pay up, pay down. That's kind of where the debate is right now for me. There's a lot of stud players that I like in this slate, and that's the reason why I might be paying down for Jordan Love. Tyrod Taylor also really cheap. So I think this slate sets up where the top end guys are going to be popular and they're going to be doing well, but paying down, adding in the other studs, that's what I've been debating, and I think I'm going to pay down.
Yeah, because you had Alvin Kamara, right? The highest salary for a running back earlier when we talked about some of the pivot plays.
Jamar Chase, also over 7,000. You need a little bit of savings on this slate. You can go with some cheap tight ends as well, but I think saving a little bit of bucks at quarterback will open up the rest of this lineup.
Yeah, we didn't get to the tight ends in that segment, but I knew you had Mark Andrews in there, right? You were doing
Another
the
payout
Lamar,
spot. Yep,
Lamar
exactly.
and Mandrews stack.
Oh, Mark Andrews. Interesting.
Huh. Why?
I
What's
like
going
him.
on?
No, we had a debate that Mark Andrews, he didn't necessarily like him.
He must have been listening.
Well, he's a good man, intelligent.
Want to make it rain? What do you got? All right, so this is the pick. These guys are going to give you a DFS pick here. We got 3 minutes left in the show. Hook me up with a DFS pick that's going to make it rain cash for the people at home right now. 3 minutes until lock.
Who's
Go
going?
ahead. Yeah, I'm staring
You go
through your
first.
soul
Great.
right now.
Ezekiel Elliott,
Oh!
$7,000. That's right. You see that graphic? It's because Ezekiel Elliott is too cheap, guys. In these games, 10 games where the Cowboys have been favored by a touchdown or more, he's averaging 23.2 DK fantasy points. That is make it rain. I think specific, right?
So you're not worried about that emerging role of Tony Pollard at all.
I mean, look at what Ezekiel Elliott has already done this season with Tony Pollard. A little bit banged up. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper's perpetually banged up. So yeah, give me Zeke.
He is also handling 86% of the carries inside the 5-yard line, so not bad when you're close to the goal line. Let the man eat. He loves a cereal. What about you, dude? Make it rain.
Austin Eckler going up against the Eagles. The Eagles have just decided they don't want to stop anybody who runs against them. They're just going to let them run freely. 34.6% of the team touches. The Eagles allowing an average of 23.1 points to opposing running backs, 4.3 yards per carry, 6.7 yards per reception, giving Austin Eckler an absolute smash spot against the Eagles.
And the linebackers for the Eagles, what are they like? They cut Eric Wilson, who they signed as a free agent over the offseason.
Smash spot.
Alex Singleton has been demoted, and so they have
Smash
linebackers right now that aren't doing anything in Philadelphia or
Smash
haven't
spot.
played. Wow, so I like that. Austin Eckler is great.
That's a good segment idea. Let's go smash spot. Maybe next week. We got a minute and a half left in the show.
Give me more Austin Eckler.
Okay.
17 targets over the last 2 weeks. Philadelphia Eagles 22nd against rush DVOA against running backs. I really like Austin Eckler in this spot. I think he makes a lot of noise. The floor is really safe, and the upside, pass catching back, running back.
Yep.
Yes, he has fewer carries a little bit over, but I still think that he has 20 to 25 touches in this game.
All right, minute now left in show. Since we didn't, I don't know what that was.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff going on around here today. Minute left in the show. We didn't talk about tight ends real quick, but is there a tight end that you guys did like today on today's slate?
Near the band minimum, Conklin going for the Vikings, going up against one of the worst defenses in the league against opposing tight ends. With the Ravens, 3K, can't pass that up.
Would you consider George Kittle? I mean, he's back today. I think he's only supposed to play about half the
Big
snaps.
O. Big O. Albert O. I didn't practice his last name before we came on the air, so I'm going to go Albert O.
Okay.
Albert Ukwegbunam
There
is how you pronounce it, I believe.
Darren Waller, your guy Darren Waller is supposed to eat today.
Especially, he's going to be probably lining out wide as well. You would think. Mike Gesicki, I think, was in a great spot with Tua. I think he's fine. He lines up out wide in 23% of his snaps. It's crazy how much this guy is a receiver, not a tight end. So I like Gesicki as well.
Should start to see a little more of that target volume that he had from Carr last season, talking Darren Waller. That's a show, everybody. Good stuff. That was fun today. Jules maybe will be back if he decides to return from the city next week. Otherwise,
I'll
you're
be
on
here.
standby.